internet. Okay. Go back here. Your videos. Live. Part 2. That's great. Save. Go back. Reload. Oh, okay. Let's reload the stinking page here. When I'm streaming, click chat. Okay. Okay, so somehow, okay, YouTube got disconnected and Rumble somehow managed to regain connection. Does that work? That works. Let's go over here to chat. Okay, so I'm still here, and this one's not longer here. Okay, well, that's great. I don't have that many viewers to start with. Viewers start with, and somehow my stream got disconnected and reconnected. All right, well, okay. Where's that? I'm still working on Enchanted brands. Adding choices. Okay, so I guess I'm still on. I'm streaming. I guess okay. So technically, I'm still online here. Let's close that. All right. I guess I don't know if Rumble experienced a disconnect or not. YouTube disconnected on me, and actually, I'm not sure if it's Restream or if it was OBS that did it. OBS had somehow lost connection. I'm not sure why. Right now it's live, so everything's kind of back to normal. Although anybody who was watching on YouTube, I guess you'll have to click on the part 2. I called it part 2 there, so I guess you'll have to do that. Let's go ahead and save this. Make sure everything is cool here. Let's go ahead and clear that. Okay. All right. Well, let's try again. Let's see. 11. Okay, so technically I started 11:30, right? Okay. So only 30 minutes, and even though I didn't finish this part down here, I finished this other part. Okay, so we're gonna get this page done, and I'm gonna try. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get. Okay, so today I'm gonna try to get 4 pages done. 4 pages means 4 story beats, and that means that this random villages that I just did, where Zanzibar does a few tricks for local CCs and some random village, and then gets Corvus to steal from the locals. Not exactly like that, but kind of. I came up with this thing. He's gonna run a coin doubling scam. He's gonna use a little sleight of hand and say some sort of magic that he's using, and that he can double the bar patron's money. But first they gotta give it to him, and then of course there's an element of risk where he goes. Um, but first, one thing I have to tell you that there is a risk. Sometimes my magic goes awry, and it doesn't work. Sometimes you get your money back. Sometimes the money disappears in the ether. So the idea is, even though he's controlling it, he's kind of scamming them. He's at least warning them up front that not to put in their money if they don't want to lose anything. I mean, really, that's kind of how confidence games works, anyways. And so, um, so they'll give him the money, and uh, he'll double he'll do the first couple of times to lure people in, and then after that, then he loses more than he doubles for them, so that he gets to keep the money. And then when he's got enough, uh, and then he'll move on to the next venue. It could be a larger show. It could be eventually he's going to build up his act so big that he's drawing crowds and everything. And but in order to run this coin doubling scam, he first needs a few initial coins to start up with. And to do that, there's going to be 3 ways. Okay, so here, I'm just essentially recapping what I came up with on Friday. All right, so the Gilded One. The Gilded One was something that Grok came up with. And you know what I found out too? There's some guy doing an AI thing, testing the different AIs on different things. One of them was making up a story. One was a dragon that was afraid of fire, and it named the dragon Ember. And I just remember that Grok named one of my dragons Ember. I mean, it came. I've said 3 of his friends, and then it came up with these names, and I just went to decided to use them, just mainly to expedite the process. Make sure things didn't slow down. I could go and change them later. Well, looks like I'm gonna go ahead and change this later now, because somebody else got the same name from Grok. That means Grok is coming up with some of the same stuff because it's based on the same training data or whatever. So I'll have to come up with my own names, and I'll have to make sure not to use Grok too much directly, which I don't really do that much anyways. But I'll change some of the names a little bit later. Okay, so um, after let's let me get back to the thing here. Okay, so he's got 3 different things that he can do here. Okay, to get his initial startup money. One is a mind reading trick, and of course that in itself is almost a scam if you think about it. Um, typically mind reading act, at least in the 20th century. I'm sure that nobody does this anymore, but because it's pretty easy to catch on to now. But usually usually the magician is blindfolded, and the assistant goes out and goes out in the audience and asks for the audience for an item, some sort of personal item, and then she holds it up for everybody to see except for our blindfolded magician, and then she says something like, you know, can you tell me what I'm holding in my hand or whatever? And then the magician tells exactly what she's holding in her hand. And the way it works is there's certain trigger phrases, trigger words that the assistant uses to let the magician or the quote unquote mind reader figure out what she's holding up. And I've seen this a lot in like old movies. I haven't actually seen somebody do it for like in real life. I'm assuming that maybe back in vaudeville days or back in um, when entertainment was like in nightclubs and things, the mind reading acts were probably prevalent maybe in the early part of the 20th century, maybe 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, maybe. Eventually fell out of favor, probably. But so he does this, and what's different is that his assistant is Corvus, his pet crow, and Corvus actually makes different noises based on what he's looking at, which is kind of funny if you think about it. If somebody came up with an act that does that, it's essentially a twist on the old mind reading act. You could actually run that act in a modern show. Um, and this is the only one that's not a scam. It's not technically a scam because you're not scamming people out of their money. It's an act for entertainment. So, but what if you had a crow? Because crows are super intelligent, and they can discern faces. They can make tools. There's a lot of stuff they can do. They could probably you could probably train a crow to make different noises based on what he's holding or what he's identifying. So because they can identify different objects. So if you did the thing where where you had the crow out in the audience, you'd have to have another assistant holding the crow, but having the crow, you know, pick it up or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just going off on a tangent, whatever. I'm just saying it'd be kind of interesting. Anyways, he does that here. Corvus, he tells Corvus to go and get to pick up an item from somebody else. A coin or a button or something. Um, and a bracelet or necklace or something. Um, and that's the other thing. I'd have to figure out what exactly they'd be holding up. But anyway, so the scene is he goes in and he tells Corvus to go and pick up an object, and then he's blindfolded and he tells him exactly what the object is, and Crow calls, and he guesses the right thing, and then they give him a couple of coins, basically, for his trouble. Okay. The second one is more of a scam, but it's also more of a magic trick, which is a oh. Anyways, okay. Okay, so the second way he's going to get some money is just performing a sleight of hand, the cups and balls thing, and he's using I said mugs, but you can't really stack mugs because of the handles, but they'd be, I don't know, cups. Anyways, so they'd have stacked cups, and maybe there's a cork. Could be a coin too. But we'll say cork, and he puts the cork on. He turns the cups, three cups over, or two cups, whatever, and then he puts the cork on one, and then he takes another cup and then stacks it on top of the first cup. And where the cork is, you can see that there's a little bit of a the cup's raised a little bit. So when he does like say some magic words or something, the cup on the top slides down as though it had lost something. And then when he picks up both cups, of course the cork is underneath, where the idea is that the cork had gone through the bottom of the one cup, and that's why you could see it. You could see the cup slam down, and while he's doing this, they think they're fascinated because they're even though this is magic, there's magic is kind of commonplace here, or let's say not commonplace, but maybe frequent, frequent enough that it that they just think it's magic when they see an actual trick. In fact, it would actually work better because if you knew that magic existed and they did this trick and they did it well enough that they'd see your hand and stuff, they wouldn't think to look at your hand. They wouldn't think of it as a trick. When I go to a magic show or I see a magic trick being performed, I know it's a trick. I know it's an illusion. So instantly my mind and my eyes are looking for the trick. And even if I never find the trick, I know that it's an illusion. But they might not think it's illusion. They might think it's real. Anyways, that's not really important either. So they get distracted, and then Corvus grabs, um, hops around the tables, and grabs a couple of coins from a couple of empty purses. Maybe there's an open purse on the table. Maybe there's a couple of coins left as payment that somebody left there. It's gonna Corvus is gonna go and grab a couple of those. And then the third way, there's this burly patron that comes in, and he evidently had made this big, huge sale because he has this huge bag of gold coins, and he goes to the bar and he slams the bag up to the bar, and the bag opens, and a few coins slip onto the bar, and while the patron is talking to a barmaid on the other side, Corvus comes up and grabs a few coins off of there, and so that's how he gets the um, that's how he gets the his initial money, and then he does the and then he'll do the coin doubling scam. Okay, and that's actually um, yeah. So that's actually okay. So the coin doubling scam is actually his official scam. Those other two were just to get a little bit of startup capital so that he could lose a few coins if he needed to. So the way the coin doubling scam works is he goes, okay, so you see this, and he's got, let's say he's still got his magician tux on, and he's got a little bit of flash paper maybe, and what he does is he says, I can double your money um, with my magic, right? And he's asked anybody if they would offer him a coin if they want to see it. Nobody does, of course, and so what he does is he says, "Okay, I will show you, and then maybe you'll want to try it yourself." So he pulls out a coin, and then he does the sleight of hand where he takes it. He probably just does the typical take thing, and he'll go, I don't know. Sometimes they do the thing where they have the coin in and they flip them out, and now they have two or something. He'll do something similar to that. So what he'll do is he'll produce two coins, whereas he had one. He'll use a little bit of flash paper to cover up the switch or the addition, and so then he doubles his coins. And then let's say we give him four coins. He has four coins. And so then he does it again, and it works. Okay. Now the locals are curious, and so one of them is brave enough to risk a single coin. So he gives him a coin, and they do a thing where he can only do like gold coins or coppers or something, depending on what Corvus is able to get him. Say the magic only works with such and such, but so somebody gives him a coin and he doubles it, and he gives him the 2 coins and says, "There you go." And then he goes, "Would anybody else care to try?" And then each time he's going, "I must warn you though that there's a risk. Sometimes the magic does not work." Actually, the flash paper was for when the magic didn't work. Like he like palm the coin or the couple of coins, and then when the magic wasn't supposed to work, he'd do a little sleight of hand and light the flash paper on fire, and and then the coinage would disappear, and he'd say, "I'm sorry," you know. Anyways, so eventually he gets enough money before the locals really realize what's happening, or before they could catch on or think about it. He decides to leave and go somewhere else and try the same thing again. Okay, so that's the setup. And I realized I spent a good 15 minutes here just speaking that out. Like, could have been typing it out, but I just wanted to let you know how it's working, at least this initial time. Um, Anywho, let's go ahead and um, mind reading act. Okay, mind reading act. Let's see if I can come up with something here. Okay. Zanzibar um, claims to be able to the mind claims to be able to um, let's see, how do I say it? Because he wanted push it off as a mind reading trick, not a word trick. Um, Read the mind of his pet bird Corvus. Um, and wonders if anyone wants to see that. Um, let's do it differently. Ezra goes up to the barkeep, and when the bartender asks what he wants, he'll tell him he doesn't have any money. When the bartender talks this, he'll tell him he's got some magic that allows him to communicate with his pet pro. He then asks the bartender if he can perform a bit of mind reading with his pro for, let's see, that's not how I want to do it either. Okay. Zanzibar, desperate for money. Asked a few tavern patrons would they give him a few coins if he could show them that his magic allows. I'm not sure how to set this up. This is not a good way to get 4 pages done. It's not a good way to get 1 page done. I have 3 hours and I got 3 pages, which each have their own actual choices and things, so I gotta think quick somehow. Okay. Zanzibar asks the barkeep if he can perform some magic in order to earn some money. Bartender, the tavern owner agrees if he gets half of his earnings. And then Zanzibar starts to work. He goes up in front and tells them that him and his pet pro Corvus are mentally linked and that he can tell anything. He can tell what Corvus is holding in his beak when blindfolded. Let's see. Okay. So he blindfolds himself and sends Corvus around to a random patron and picks up a ring from patron's finger and then makes a squawk. I keep getting squawk. AWK. SQU. AWK. Makes a squawk. To which Zanzibar replies, it's a ring. the bar patron clap. Okay. The bar patron clap, and then the bar does a few more rounds like this. At the end, people throw money at the bar. Now that he has a few coins to start out with, then the bar tells them he has something else to show them. They can sometimes he can double their money with his magic. Okay, it's actually a lot to type in this one little deal here, but I guess it's kind of necessary. Let's see something here. Why don't I reduce that a little bit? Okay, we're gonna. I mean, I know how it works and how it's gonna work, but that is way too wordy. Zabar realizes since no one knows him, he can maybe get a few coins by performing. He decides to use his mind reading act to hopefully gain him some money. Using Corvus, his pet crow, he pretends to be reading Corvus's mind, and eventually they give him money. Ooh, and we're gonna probably have one more card after this. It's actually gonna go. It's not actually gonna go to the lap, so it's gonna go to the coin scam, which is not gonna. I don't think the coin doubling scam is gonna have choices in it. So I don't think I want to spend that much extra time on this particular page there. Okay. Using Corvus's pet crow, he pretends to be reading Corvus' mind. Eventually, they give him money for a show. He then decides to try his coin doubling scam on them. And I'm just going to say hit 1 to continue, and to continue. Alright. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this data, save room data. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another room. So let's add another room. And this can actually be 9, right? Because, right, we don't have 9. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and copy here. Let's go ahead and paste. Let's call it 9. That. And then let's go ahead and alright, let's go over here. Let's copy its door spec here. Copy. Let's go ahead and let's go to door spec. Let's add that. Paste. Right. There's that. And instead of going to Lopswood Edge, these are all going to go to Random Village 9. Copy. Okay, we'll copy that. And we're going to put this down here. Put this down here. And this here. So. And these are actually all going to go to paste. It's going to go to 9. Copy. Go into here. Paste. Go to here. Paste. Okay, I'm going to save it. We're going to save room data, that, and it should be 9. That's fine. And this is going to be here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put here, coin doubling scam, period. We're just going to do save. We're going to save it. Room data. Okay. Reload save scene. Make sure everything's cool, which it is. All right. So the first one, let's make sure I got it right. The first one's the mind reading hack. Second one, distraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one. Corvus decides to do Corvus. Zanzibar decides to do a little sleight of hand. With a cups and balls trick. After getting 2 cups and a piece of cork from the barkeep, Zanzibar puts. We'll make that 3 cups just in case later on he wants to do some sort of 3 cup, 3 cup money. Zanzibar puts each of, okay. And bar gets 3 cups and a piece of cork from barkeep. He puts the cups upside down on the bar, and then puts a piece of cork on the bottom of one of the cups. He then puts another cup on top of it, says some words, the cup seems to drop a bit, and then when he picks up both cups, the cork falls out of the bottom. He does a few more tricks like this while Corvus hops around and grabs coins from various open coin purses and the top of empty tables. Hit 1 to continue. Okay. I'm gonna hit save. Pardon me. And then this is the. This says 1 to continue, doesn't it? 1 to continue. Let's see. He now has a few. He has enough coins to do the coin doubling scam. 1 to continue. Okay, good. Save room data. Burly Patron. Burly Patron, this one's going to be easy to stripe. While surveying his surroundings, a loud, large, burly Patron pushes past Zanzibar to the bar. After slamming a large bag full of coins on the bar, he turns to the burly patron, turns to a barmaid sitting next to him. Zanzibar gets close to grab some of those coins that spilled onto the table. Okay. He now has enough for the coin doubling magic. Hit 1 to continue. Okay. Okay. So I'm still not done with this page yet, though. So far it's already been an hour, and I understand that for 15 minutes of those was me talking, which that doesn't mean I'm getting something done. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Okay. Drinking my water. Okay, coin doubling scam time. And I'm gonna hope that I can. Anyways, realizing how gullible the patrons seem to be, he decides he'd do some coin doubling magic. Since they can't tell the real thing from sleight of hand. Sleight of hand. Okay. He claims to be able to double their money, but with an element of risks that sometimes the magic doesn't work correctly. Sometimes the magic doesn't work correctly. When no one volunteers their money, he takes out a coin and then in hand says some magic words and opens his hand to reveal 2 coins. He then asks for members of the audience to trust him. After a few of the patrons win money, everyone starts trying to give him their money. A couple of times the magic doesn't work. In fact, the coins seem to disappear in a puff of smoke. When Zanzibar has enough coins, he then decides to stop the act and move on. Okay. Meanwhile, at the edge of Oxwood, Hubert and John are just exiting the forest. Leafless forest. Exiting the leafless forest. Okay. Hit 1 to continue. Okay. Room data. Alrighty. So, it looks like I got 1 page done today. Just the 1. Now, if I'm lucky, I'll get 2. If I'm even luckier, I'll get 3. And if I'm super lucky, I'll get 4 done today. If I get 4 done today, that's a good little bit of progress. Good little bit of progress there. It's like a 1/20th of the amount done. Okay. Honestly, so I'm done with that page. I want a break, but I can't really do a break, can I? Okay. Alright. That's a little bit worried, but that is okay because I get to move on. Alright. So let's open Lapswood Edge. What do we have coming here, running here? Once they're out of the confines of Lapswood, Hubert stops to give instruction. Hubert sends John to night school and Princess Prep to figure out what's happening. Hubert himself goes to examine Wizard U and Fairy God College. Hit 1 if you wish to go to Dwarf Mines. Okay, so here's where I'll have to read ahead a little bit. I'll need to go to those dealies because this is actually a natural point of choice here. And in this, I'm switching context to the Dwarf Mines instead of hit 1 if you wish to continue. But in this case, like I might need to reorient or reposition some of these pages because this is a built-in thing about the um, about the choices. Hmm. What time is it? Dang it. Dwarf Mines. Okay. Well, you know what? I gotta take a bathroom break, so apologies. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. This isn't part of my official break. That's because I had to use the bathroom real quick. So, you know, sometimes when nature calls, right? Okay. So, so we have an interesting. Here, let's see, zoom in a little bit here. We have kind of an interesting kind of problem here, and that is that this is set up for choices. This already has choices built in, right? So we're gonna John's gonna go to night school and Princess Prep, and Hubert's gonna go to Wizard U and Fairy Guide College, right? So that'll probably be two choices, but the next page, the next story beat is Dwarf Mines, where we're introduced to Roland. So what I have to do is I have to go to each of the. I'll have to find uh, where the first let's see some here, and I'll have to look this up too. I mean, I'll have to go through each of the rooms to do it, but I'll have to go through. Um, let's see something here. Let's go over to here, and why is it on Restream here? That's okay, whatever. Okay, let's refresh. I'm gonna refresh Restream here. Everything is going good. Everything's streaming correctly. Doesn't seem to be anybody watching via Rumble, which is kind of interesting because Rumble's the one that actually stayed connected somehow. Maybe it's not though. Maybe I should check that out. Give me a second here. Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. Let's go to live. This claims that there's 3 watching on Rumble. Restream doesn't say that. Um, let's go back to my what's this notification thing here? Somebody just started following me. Okay, let's go to the Rumble link directly. I just want to see something here. Raw views. So this is still apparently it's still going. Wait. Let's go to scheduled. No scheduled videos. Okay. Let's go to all then. Let's go back to the live stream here in Rumble. Okay. And then let's just go ahead and go back to the Restream tab. Reload. Hit chat. And okay. Well, Restream is actually saying there's 5 people here, so 3 people. 5 is actually the most I've had, so that's really cool. So thanks whoever's watching, idling, whatever. You know, maybe Bomb is in here somewhere. Anyways, that's all right. That's neither here nor there, right? Okay. Okay. So I have this little bit of a problem. It's not really a problem, but it's kind of a problem. Okay. So this the next page after Lapswood Edge, um, is the Dwarf Mines where we're introduced to Roland. Now there's choices here, but I can't do the choices because the next thing is Lapswood. So what I need to do is I need to find the John and Hubert the school deals that they're going to. I need to find those pages, and then I need to find out if there is something I can put in the intermediate. In other words, could I add John and Hubert and have like 2 pages where they go to wherever they're going before it actually occurs, so that so I'm not like out of whack here. In other words, I can still leave this as is, and the next thing um, could actually be the mines here. So let's see if I can find. Okay, so let's go through, and I'll have to find them here. Now, the one thing that I'll have to do first, though, is check out the I'll have to pull up that order text again, right? So, like, here is Dwarf Mines Night School entrance, which is probably the next thing that John goes to. Blizzard U Hall. Night School entrance, Night School. Okay, 12 and 13, right? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into rooms. We're going to go to, I'm going to check up on 12. Okay. Actually, let's check Dwarf Mines first. Lapswood Edge. Oh, that was the old inbound. Okay, that was the old inbound. Right. Lapswood Edge. Uh, okay, so Dwarf Mines. So the next thing is Night School entrance is the next one after the Dwarf Mines. So Night School entrance. Night School entrance. John talks to the guards, gains entrance to the school. To go to night school. But okay. Let's see something here. Not sure if I will end up doing a bunch of rejiggering. I'm trying to figure out how to do this um in such a way that's not such a pain in the butt, right? Because the way I did this is I went through the different story beats, and then I kind of broke them up so that the way you're introduced to new characters were earlier in the story, and so on and so forth, and had to be able to switch, in between each character. That might be how I handle the multiple player thing. Maybe I won't do a multiple player thing. Maybe you'll just be doing. Well, that's not entirely true though. No, I'll still be doing multiple player characters. But anyways, that doesn't really matter right now. So his whole thing is gaining entrance to the school at the entrance. So in reality, this should be the next thing. The dwarf mines should be after it somewhere. Okay, let's go to 13 night school. Let's pull that up. Uh, pull that one up. While inside the night school, okay, and then the next one is Wizard U Hall, which is apparently where um Wizard U Hall, which is apparently where Hubert's going. Hubert goes to Wizard U. Okay. Um. Let's see. How should I handle this? I could always switch around. Dwarf mines and Lapswood Edge. We'd be introduced to Roland before. Okay, let me pull this dwarf mines back up. Let me go do something real quick. I'll be just right back. Not going to make a huge difference in here, but I decided to crank the thermostat back 1 degree because it's warm in here, especially because of the computer running generates heat. Okay. Dwarf mines. Roland approaches the entrance, and old dwarf Roland knows Stone's out and tells him his dad is trapped in the moon. When you wish to go. Okay, so we're gonna have to. Let's see here. And you know what? I should have left that other thing open. Let's do something back in here. Let's go to order. Let's order. And then let's see if I can do. Can I do a new instance here? New window. And let's shrink that down in just a sec. Okay. So dwarf mines. When's the next time you run into Roland? That's what I need to know. Uh, shoot, I'm not getting. Well, at least I got one done today. Maybe I'll get a second page done today though. Because I have to rejigger how these rooms go together now. Okay, so we're going to. Okay, random villages goes to Lapswood, Edge. Okay. Dwarf mines. Okay, dwarf mines. School entrance. Okay. Let's check out Dwarf Mines 1 because that's probably the next time we see Roland. Goes into the Dwarf Mines. And then from there finds a secret entrance into the Gnome Kingdom. Let's see something. Hmm. That was from Wizard U Library. That was way earlier. This is a weird thing that I didn't think I'd have to come into that I would have trouble with. So nobody's watching via restream anymore. Wonder why. Okay, that doesn't really matter, I guess. Whatever. Too boring or not enough time or something. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so the problem I'm having here is the order that I put these in. Because some of these have a natural, in other words, um, he goes into the next time we see Roland, he goes into the mines, right? So that's just like a single choice. So I can definitely do that later. In other words, um, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna figure out a way of doing it within the scaffolding I have here. Lapswood edge. Now, Okay, so the night school entrance is where he finds a way of getting into the school, right? And then this is Hubert sending John there. So is there something that I can do in between sending him to the night school and actually attempting to gain entrance? Right. Okay, maybe I should ask Grok. I'm not sure if I should ask Grok or not, but maybe I should. I went without doing the thing here. Um, so to give some idea. Yeah, I never. And then there's the other thing. Okay, so I if I do this, if I leave that as a single page, right? If I do these as linear pages, which is okay, I guess it's going to be a couple linear pages. That's going to be kind of dumb, but I might have to do it that ways because okay, let's say I managed to move it around where the choice is either to follow Hubert or to follow the choice is either to follow Hubert or follow John, right? Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Because this is going to be linear for a while, and it's gonna ruin my order. I don't have a problem with ruining the order as far as that goes. What I mean is it's going to be kind of this big pain in the butt because I'm going to have to reorganize a bunch of pages in order to accommodate it. Okay. I guess it means I'm going to have to rearrange how I do the doors, I guess. They're going to be all out of whack, though. Because in this first pass version, there's not multiple player characters, which means you're going to go in the predetermined order. When you get multiple player characters, you'll be able to switch in between them, and they'll all be going on their own single kind of path unless you switch. This is interesting. It won't be an automatic switching. It'll be you, the player, switching. Maybe it's more complicated than it should be, like I always do. Um, this does present another interesting thought, though. Okay, so far we've been going pretty much linearly. Granted, um, I have these spaced out. These aren't as spaced out though, because they're small little three deals here. These are kind of all over the place, and looks like I got stagnated here. But here is a interesting, kind of an interesting thing here. Because now I can actually officially make it go off onto individual paths. Huh. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Okay. So I got got a problem here on the layout. You know, pretty much linear the way it goes. I was able to switch in between, but now we have this deal where we have a natural split where characters are going off on their own, right? If you want to say it right, we've been doing linear pretty much the whole way because when we introduce characters, uh, we're introducing characters in an order, right? And then suddenly we hit a natural spot in the story where they split off, right? Now, there's going to be a time where Hubert and John meet back, right? They meet back at Scarborough Fried Chicken, okay, after finishing off their little investigations. Okay, I can make those fairly linear. I can make I can do the branching thing where it does that, so that it'll be like two lines like that, and then they come back together. But this is okay. So where do we introduce Roland at? How do we introduce Roland in here? Do I introduce Roland beforehand? Okay. Roland's going to go into the mines. In fact, it's going to be linear, so it's going to be that to going into the mines, and then um, okay. I guess this is the problem of not creating the game organically. In other words, starting out with an idea and then building rooms and things off of it, which is how you kind of do choose your own adventures, anyways. You kind of do it. You kind of develop it as you go, sort of. You sort of develop it as you go. I'm not saying you can't predetermine everything. You know you could do maps and predetermine the way it goes and everything. But it's like this thing shouldn't be a real issue here, and it is here. I don't know. Maybe I should ask Grok. I got 15 minutes. I finished a page today. I guess I can be happy that I did that, and maybe I won't get into any more progress today. But I'm gonna have to do some talking with somebody with something here. So maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should go ahead and pull Grok up and okay. Where is what's the deal with my history here? It should have what I just did the last that I did here. Let's click see all. The last 7 days. Okay, I've got all of the pages for the coin doubling, etc., and so forth. So now I come to my first real game design problem. Okay. So nothing about Zanzibar or anything about what we're just talking about. It's more about the next steps, because at this point we in the story we rejoin Hubert and John at the edge of Lapswood as they're exiting and making their plans on what to do next. Okay. This concerns the layout of all the rooms hereafter. So, for the first time in the actual story, I come to a point where characters diverge. That is, the story naturally branches instead of me trying to fit in interesting choices. So the next page or room is Hubert telling John to go to night school and princess prep, while he himself goes to Wizard U and Fairy God College. Okay. Problem. Okay. So just to tell you where in the story we're at, please acknowledge before I attempt to tell you the problem I'm getting. Hopefully it's not going to take forever here, because I've got, obviously I shouldn't be relying on, dang. Got it. Thanks for the context. Shifting focus to the next part of the story. We're now following Hubert and John as they exit labs and plan the next step. This is where the story naturally branches for the first time. Hubert tells John to head to night school and Princess Prep, while Hubert himself goes to Wizard U and Fairy God College. This branching introduces a game design challenge related to the layout rooms. You're about to explain the specific problem you're hitting with the divergent. All ears. Go ahead and share the issue, and I'll help you brainstorm. Okay. So the next room, after, well, I'll just say page. The next page after this lapse would scene is introducing Roland. Introducing Roland. So here's the problem. The problem is that what is the problem? what? I can't even define the problem. How about that? Um, well, actually, having okay. If it doesn't concern John or Hubert, even though this is the natural branching point for the story. So I'm trying to figure out if I should simply have the two paths of John and Hubert until they converge, literally meet back up after their investigations, and then introduce Roland at that point. Should I maybe introduce Roland first before going back to John and Hubert? I don't have anything that can go between Lapswood scene and the night school entrance. That's John's path. Or Lapswood and Hubert. So it might make more sense to introduce Roland later. I'm not really sure how to handle this from here on out, considering that the story is still fairly linear. There's no interesting choice to go from Hubert sends John to night school and John comes to the entrance of night school. That makes any sense. Actually, I might not even follow what Grok says, but I'm just thinking the two things. One is I could introduce Roland early. So instead of going to Lapswood, it's actually introducing Roland. Roland doesn't have a split up like that other. Um, but what it means is it'll be fairly linear. In other words, the Zanzibar scam, then we introduce Roland, then we go back to John Hubert splitting up. Which I mean, I could do that. That's actually not a bad idea. And that also means that I got to make sure that um, I I have to. I can only resume. I can only add the other any other characters or any other character happenings after they meet back up, which might be okay because that might be what I'm doing anyways. I might be having a thing where I switch in between them, but I'll have to actually rejigger the things because now it's not going to be bonk bonk bonk. It's going to be like chunk 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 like that. Natural branching point. Hebert directs John to investigate. Uh, Next page is new character unrelated to Johnny Hubert's immediate action. You're unsure how to handle this transition overall structure moving forward. Follow Johnny Hubert's until they reconverge. Should you introduce Roland first, returning to John and Hubert's path? There's no clear or interesting choice to bridge Lapswood scene where Hubert sends John to night school and John's arrival at night school entrance, or Hubert's path make the transition feel abrupt. You're unsure how to structure the layout. Let's break down and brainstorm options to address the narrative flow and branching structure, keeping it a sounding board for your ideas. Understand that problem. Branching paths. John and Hubert's divergence Lapswood is the first time the story splits naturally, creating two parallel threads. This requires managing two separate rooms or narrative segments until they reconverge. Roland's introduction entry as a new character feels disconnected from John and Hubert's immediate actions, placing it right after a lapse would risk in disrupting the flow of their branching paths. Lack of transition. The jump from Hubert sending John to night school to John arriving at the entrance lacks an engaging bridge or choice, making the narrative feel linear abrupt. Goal: you want a smooth, engaging structure that handles the branch, integrates Roland naturally, and avoids jarring transition between scenes, ideally with the player agency or interesting choices options. There are three approaches to handle branching paths, and really, I almost come up with it myself, but we'll see what Grok comes up with here. Then I have to take my break here in just a minute. Right, three approaches to handle branching paths, ensuring smooth transitions. Each aims to address the lack of an interesting choice between laps of mix scenes fitting rolling in it. Introduce Roland at reconvergence. How? After the Lapswood scene split the narrative into two paths, one following John, Hubert. Each path gets to new rooms pages to explore their investigations. Roland is introduced later when John and Hubert reconverge, perhaps in a shared location. Transition fixed to bridge the Lapswood scene. Add a small choice or event like John deciding how to approach the school. Margin. Yeah. Well, I can get that. Roland could be a key figure they meet. Keeps the focus on John and Hubert's diverging paths, maintaining narrative momentum. Uh, Maybe I should also, because there's a point where he actually meets them at Scarwell Fried Chicken, I believe. So he does meet them at some point. I don't remember exactly where though. Roland could be a key figure. Okay, keeps focus, maintaining narrative momentum. Reward. Okay. If he's crucial, requires crafting parallel paths. Well, I mean, he is crucial to the story, but he's not crucial to this investigation part. In fact, it's actually what. Okay, so what's kind of interesting here is I wonder. Um. Hmm. Oh, you know what though? Too, Roland still can be a third path, even though. Yeah. Okay. Branching, reconverging. And Roland is opposite. He's not on a parallel path with them either. In other words, he doesn't actually meet them until later, I think. I have to go back through the story now. I'll have to check it out. Because if that's the case, then I gotta make sure that because I could almost make this like a third dealie, right? But um, because we're actually going from Zanzibar and then we're going to the new characters or the old characters, whatever. Okay, introduce Roland first and split. Download scene. His scene sets up a subplot. Uh, Richard and Johnny Here's after alternating between their investigations. Roland's scene acts as a buffer, giving you space to make John's night school entrance more dynamic. Roland could be a wild card. Introduce Roland early, building intrigue. Interweave. Jingling parallel threads, for example, John approaches night school, Roland's introduced to the village. Then Hubert heads to Wizard U. Each scene ends with a small choice. Interleaved. I'm not sure if interleave would work still though. Um, Introducing Roland first isn't going to hurt anything either. He's also got a single next event. Like, he goes up to the dwarf mines, and the next time we see him, he's entered the mines. But it means that Zanzibar's coin doubling scam is one page. Then Roland coming up to the mines is another single page, and then John and Hubert uh, go on their investigations. So the only thing that doesn't sound okay is the interleaved version. It's going to be linear for 3 pages. Bar to Roland to Hubert John, like that. And let's actually make an arrow. If I put Roland first, I put him later. That might put his story more into the middle of the story. Kind of depends on how long the investigations are. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and break, and Grok isn't gonna care. He isn't gonna know when I stopped or not. So, I'm going on break right now, and I'll see you. It'll be 2:05, 2:10, 2:15. You know how the things go with me. Anyways, I'll be back. Okay, I am back, and I need to go back and continue reading what Grokko's saying. And I also came up to a realization I can't do a separate deal. If I do if I make the separate paths, I have to like do like double of the paths, and it means I have to do the whole path, and then, anyways, still not doing loops. Maybe I should do loops. I don't know. Hmm. Okay. Anyways, I just realized I can't even do it this ways. Infrastructure, weighing whether blah blah blah, ruling out the inner leaf option. Actually, I'm not gonna rule that out because I kind of have to do that anyways. Is one page rolling into another single page on you. Uh, deciding of the gin juice. Okay, smooth narrative flow. Realize flow. Linear sequence. Rolling later. Keeps focus on branching paths and adding new character early with that. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Okay, so I was just on my break. I figured you would need to know the difference since you don't really mark time like a human does. Um, and I just thought that I can't do the separate tabs um, without um, multiple copies of the same because you need to go down John's path and also down Hubert's path. If I made it a straight up choice, then you would be going down one path at the expense of the other. Unless I made duplicate pages like I've done a little bit above. But since those were smaller in a linear fashion, it didn't matter as much. So in essence, they do have to be interleaved. And in fact, I'm probably going to still have to do, you have to be interleaved. I can still introduce one first, however. Um, and probably need to still do it that way, considering that there's no room for anything extra between Hubert telling John to go to night school and actually getting to the entrance. So at least it's a little less complicated. So that means I don't have to evening rook or afternoon, as my case is. It's only 2:24 here. So I know for you it's like 7:24, right? It's almost 7:30 there in the UK. But same difference. Afternoon, evening, it's close enough, right?